How do I know if I'm really getting a super producer or an average producer? What's going to be the characteristics as a person going into that environment? What should I be looking for?
Well,
Sure, I'm getting the right.
I don't want to get the super producer title confused as like saying like high and mighty kind of thing. It's not that, because I heard you say super versus average.
Right.
It's not that. It's not that. We're not like saying we're higher than anybody. We're just talking about the jobs that we have to do, and that's what makes it fall under super producer versus
multi-manager.
Yeah, versus vocal producer, exec producer, or whatever. Like super producer is just the jobs itself. It's not just like a level of your production. But how to know what you're getting when you're getting into it from the producer? It's honestly just the initial question, just going back to the beginning, the interview. Like, hey, you have to first off honestly know what you're looking for first off, just straight off the dump. As an artist, you should come and say, hey, Nick, I want you to produce my record. When they say that, generally, that means off dump in their mind. For most artists, it means that we want you to be a super producer. But that's when he comes back and he says, hey, do you want me as the engineer? Do you want me playing on it? Do you want me to compose it? So just like that's, you have to initiate that conversation as said from the beginning. We try our best not to let it get into what we actually hear in the session, and now it's like, okay, what we doing?
Right, for sure.
Because that what we doing, one little, not even a full second question, gonna turn into 30 to 45 minutes of that session of what we got to get done that we could have done before. So so when you
may not be prepared for it.
Right, may not, and it can potentially like end the session.
Yeah,
honestly,
absolutely.
it can potentially end the session. So just knocking all that stuff out ahead of time, and I learned that as well by having to book my studio. That means that now if I'm gonna let this person come up here and be mad about this stuff, I could have booked another session, and I could have asked you this through text message, through email, through on the phone call.
I could be working.
I could be working right now. So and it happens. I'm pretty sure we've all had sessions where we come in and it's like, okay, this just was a waste of our time, or now this 6-hour block or this 3-hour block that we just had sitting down on our schedule.
Definitely.
Somebody just asked me for that.
Exactly.
Definitely.
Man, I'm gonna tell you something that, man, and I thank God for my wife-inger. Because she came up with the concept of actually doing a questionnaire. So when somebody contacts me to book, they go through this questionnaire, and it has these questions that are staged to, like, if you answer this, it's gonna go to this next question. So if you answer this, it's gonna go to this. So and then it cuts out all of the riffraff too, because you get some people that don't really know what they want to do, and they just kind of just trying to see, instead of them coming out and just asking, they want to just kind of test the water. So that cuts a lot of that out. So before you even get to the point we sit now having a face-to-face, I already know what you want, or what you said in the questionnaire, what you want to do, how you want to do it, what you want me to do, what role am I playing in this? So, that's another way to kind of,
That's pretty good.
and then they'll know whether they're getting a super producer or, whatever. But yeah, like you said, it's not really about ability. It's just about the multitasking that you're going to have to do once you get into this thing.
Y'all ever been in caught in a situation where y'all got brought up by the artist, and they ask you to produce something, you like, this probably ain't for me.
Oh, I ain't mean to get so excited about it, but hey, I just let a whole project go. Yeah.
Bruh,
I was like,
there's been
I'm not the guy for this one.
There's been time I wanted to turn off everything and walk out the studio.
But see, that's why those conversations are important,
Yes,
man, and get clear initially. And I know a lot of them, they ready to get in and get on the mic. Get this, let's get this clear. And then they'll know what they want.
Right.
Yeah.
What advice do y'all have for the younger folks that want to become producers?
I would say, first of all, with the younger generation, and this is no shot at them, know what a producer actually does. Don't just be a beat maker calling yourself a producer. Because yes, you are producing music, but I think you're really a producer when you have to manage an entire record. Not saying an entire album, but like you have a record that somebody's asked you to, a single that somebody's asked you to do, and you are totally driving the ship for this record. Like you hiring people to come in, you working the budget, you done got contracts, and like I said before, you sending out work for hires. That's when I really and I'm not downing the younger guys coming up that's just making beats and calling themselves producers, but I feel like you should be able to be able to produce the vocals as well. You should be able to, know something about one of the instruments that you playing on the record. You know what I'm saying?
Or be in charge of the people that
Or be in charge of who you're hiring if you don't know how. Yeah. See, like people like Prince, to me, he'll go down as one of the greatest producers ever. Mm-hmm. Simply because, and this is just my opinion, he played everything. So he could actually sit there and say, I want the strings to sound like this. And not only could he do that, he'll take the violin and be like, no, play it like this. You know what I'm saying? Or he would, piano or guitar. And I'm not saying, but not that you have to know how to do that, but have a knowledge of what that instrument is supposed to be doing, or how the vocals are supposed to sound on this particular song, or how, you want the drums to sound, and be able to convey that to the artists or to the musicians that are playing on the record. And then I would also say to them is, don't let your beginnings discourage you. Like the Bible says, like, despise not small beginnings. I know a lot of times when younger cats start out, they may look at where they are and they might get discouraged and don't want to do it no more. I would say, like, stick with it. Don't let anybody try to dictate to you what your sound is supposed to be.
So honestly, like with that, my two things that always equal to my last saying I always say is, one, if you can't go like financially wise to school,
right,
put yourself in school. Make your own like setups, yep, like, plan and do the homework. Mm-hmm. Then number two, put your face in the place.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's so hard to understand if you not really, it's not hard to understand. It's a different experience when you're not there and you're not hands-on.
Right.
Then that also, when you do number one and number two, there's a saying I like to say, don't get caught with your pants down.
Right, exactly.
Meaning, like, if you're around here now, you're putting your face in the place, mm-hmm, and you've been studying and you're doing your homework, mm-hmm, having your face down might eventually lead to, hey, mm-hmm, our engineer's sick today. I need you to go ahead and get behind this driver's seat, yeah, and run it.
Yep.
So because you did number one and number two, mm-hmm, you're not gonna get caught on that, yep. So I always say that, never get caught. I tell that to all singers and everything.
Absolutely.
Just don't, meaning you might sing R&B, you might sing gospel, mm-hmm, but there's nothing wrong with developing and practicing other techniques.
Absolutely. And that's the point I was going to make.
There is nothing wrong with applying those other techniques. Just because we do gospel trade, let's say it's a gospel session. Just because we're doing a gospel session don't mean that we can't implement a quote unquote hip hop snare.
Right. Right. Exactly. Right.
Like I use this on purpose. Mm-hmm. If I'd have been only straight dimensional on, right, let me do only gospel, mm-hmm, and then now it's like, oh, I want this song that's got a DC vibe. Mm-hmm. If I didn't do my homework, right, first off, I'd never know what DC vibe was. Then two, if I'd have never known that and practiced it, I'd never been able to reproduce it or get something in that vein. Yep. And vice versa. It's so I always try, like I say, when I get my writer's block, I just go and put on the most random stuff and just, yep, let it shuffle through so that my body starts understanding, so maybe I can start developing certain things, trying to really get in the studio without having real people in there on djembes and all this other stuff and actual all these different hand percussions, and trying to recreate that, right, and make it feel authentic.
Right. That's the thing.
But you have to have a big enough ear And I think that will be my advice. It's like get exposed to as much as you can so that your perspective is broader. So you could be prepared for more things, right? You could produce more things and in let's say you have a niche, even in your niche you can bring things to it because your ears are bigger.
Yep.
And don't be afraid to ask. I feel like our generation they're very afraid to ask the people that's been down that road, down that path, or that have the knowledge. Like, what does ADAT mean?
Right.
What does MIDI mean?
Right.
Like, if you don't know, what's SMPTE? Like, there's things that we need to know.
And we text each other all the time.
Yes.
And we've been doing it for a little while.
Hey, and that's the thing. That's the biggest, man. That's the biggest thing I wanna convey to the younger generation. Man, no question is a dumb question. Ask, man. Ask. It's like I was put in a position coming up, like where I was producing, didn't even know I was producing because the people that I was tied to didn't. It's like, don't ask, don't tell, don't say nothing. You like, you know, don't ask me this question about this. You know, I don't want you to know too much because I feel like you're gonna, try to be more than me. So I had gotten into a area where I was, don't ask. You just try to figure it out on your own. But if I would have known then what I know now, man, I feel like I would be a lot further because I was always made to like, don't ask no questions. But man, I'll tell all these young cats, man, ask, bruh. Ask, inbox any of us, like just ask, bro. Like, hey man, what is this? Like, what does this do? What is the purpose of this? Why do I have to, do this? Or why do I need a USB cable? How's USB cable run MIDI? Like, how does that work? Whatever. If I know, I'm gonna tell you.
Yeah,
just ask. So I would say, ask questions.
True story. Before I produced any song, both of them let me sit in their labs. Both of them. And they would let me help them with their songs. And, just humble yourself. Like, you might have dope ideas, right? But there are people with experience, that could kind of help you avoid some pitfalls, and both of them were that for me. So, yeah, they did on.
Do you think every producer should at least have one major instrument?
It depends on it also depends on what they doing too. Like, I know some crazy, I know electronica stuff, and I know as a musician I used to down it because I was like, that's not real music. Bruh, like I know that's so huge, and they don't even play a lot of them. They don't even play.
We used to call them knob turners.
Bro, but until I went and started touring with them, and was like, wait a minute.
It's an art to that stuff,
Like,
man.
it's
It
so
really
much,
is.
yeah.
It really is.
So you can't say that today.
Right.
You
Back
used
in
to
the
be
day, in the Quincy Jones days and stuff like that. Oh yeah, you gotta play something.
Well, right. But today, so much is accessible, like even samples and stuff like that. So, I mean, yeah, it's a plus. I mean, I'm a musician, so I'm an advocate for that side of it, of course, right? But, I mean, no, I know some that don't play anything, and they got some dope stuff out, like commercials, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying?
I had an artist just the other day send me, listen to this. I'm like, what is this? I made this on my phone.
Right?
Don't play not one
Don't play
instrument.
nuts.
But got
and it was-
GarageBand
see?
on their phone and was able to move samples or tap this note in and whatever. And it just started sounding good to them. And actually it came back sounding really good.
See?
I'm like,
It's the ability to put those things together. It's the ability
You still
to
have
take
to have
what you
creativity.
got.
right,
Yeah.
just the creativity.
Yeah.
Like that's actually like an instrument now. Just
There you go.
creativity
There
is
you
an
go.
instrument.
There you go. Nah, I'm an advocate for musicians.
Me too. Me too.
So let me put
old
that on the
school.
record.
I'm old school, so yeah, we all play. So.
Yeah.
Last question, gentlemen, and I appreciate y'all having this forum, and we must do it again.
For sure, for sure.
What's one of the biggest downfalls you've seen in the project?
Whoa.
Killed the whole project.
Energy and vibe.
Yep.
If I could be like perfectly honest, it's vibe, man. Because sometimes like you could do a project and you could have all the right notes, all the right like parts played, and it's produced well and it's sang well and all that, but the energy is nasty. People, you might not realize, but that stuff will come across in the record too.
Absolutely.
Like the energy in the room and the energy with the people involved. Like I would really not take projects, I don't even care how much it's paying, if the vibe is bad. And honestly, that's my that's my only answer.
Mine would be having outside sources trying to play the role of the producer. I think that's the biggest vibe killer to any record.
Well, when you say outside sources, are we talking about some of the posse members that may be involved in the control?
Yeah, you know, like saying, hey, it should be like this, or hey, it should be like this. And the artist is not strong enough to be like, y'all, I hired this cat to produce, y'all chill, he or she has it. Let them do what they do. You know, that's like the biggest, like I've seen a record that could have been like mind blowing, but because, you know, the posse or the team couldn't keep their hands off of everything that was happening with the record, you know, and the artist didn't, you know, reconfirm that, hey, he's running the show, let him do what he do, you know, had to take a step back and just start becoming an engineer now and just start pushing buttons. Okay, so you want me to turn that up? Okay, you want me to turn that up? Right. Okay, now you know if I turn that up, I gotta turn this up. Yeah, well, turn it all up. Okay, well, I can't hear. Okay, well, okay.
I'm about to ask you, so how you end up handling it?
Take my name off it.
Well, that was the first thought.
I didn't produce this.
Right, I didn't produce, but I actually said that. Listen, if we doing all of this, I'm gonna have to, like, I can't put my name on this. And that's exactly what happened. And the record never came out. And I think it was probably could have been one of the, and I'm not saying it because I was playing a part in it, but it could have been probably one of the greatest gospel records ever. Just because of what was being put into it. And if I would have been, if I would have been allowed to steer it like I was feeling it, it could have been amazing. But yeah, I think it was, you know, that's the thing. That's the thing.
I would probably, it's something y'all kind of touched on it too, but one of the biggest like project killers or killers of it had to be not like when the whole team or even the artists themselves didn't have an end goal or real clear vision of where they was trying to go with it. So it just always was a confused thing. So it's just like, it's dope, but is this what I really want to do?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Is this the market that we're trying to reach? Like, or if it's not the artist, the manager who came in at the alleged manager coming at the end and is like, but that's not the market that I wanted you to go for.
Right.
That's not the people or the sound that I wanted you to do.
Demographic.
Or like that's again with that prior planning stuff. The distribution team, the people that's going, or the financial, like when it's not all together. We have a whole bunch of records that artists done did, but because the team was just like, oh well, maybe this is not what I want to do or what we want to do, or put our money behind it.
Right.
And you know, put all that work into it.
Oh yeah.
I thank God for contracts.
Yeah.
Deposits.
Well, I got paid.
Yeah, you know, sometimes, but like, yeah, in that situation, and of course we all been there, where it's like, you know, they ask you, they hire you to do one thing, but then you have that Jeffer in there, or that cheerleader that's, oh no, do this.
Yeah.
So listen, we're gonna go this direction, but since you're over this, you're the artist, I just want to let you know.
Right.
I want to pull my name off of this.
Right.
This is now turning over to you.
Yep.
I'll take production credit for the track or whatever, or I'll you know, whatever we're gonna work out. But this is not, I can't go out there and let this represent me like that, because at the end of the day, that's all we have is our name.
Right. Exactly.
So when we start putting our name out there bad,
I agree.
Man.
It's very rarely instrumentation or talent that kills the record. It's usually people.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
The talent, a lot of that times because we control that part of it. You know what I mean? We are usually doing the hiring if we're not doing it all ourselves. But it's usually the people. You know, it's what vibe is brought to it, and then outside influences, and you know, too many people talking.
Because you know, every record you do, that's like your baby. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I know for me, that's like one of my babies. You know, it's like, so it's like, you know, you want to be able to mold, and just like your children, you want to be able to mold. We all got kids, you know, so it's like we want to be able to mold and shape our kids, and we want to be responsible for their outcome. We want to make sure we put them on the right. It's the same thing with a record. That's the way I look at it. It's like, man, I want to mold and shape this thing into when it's released, everybody like, man, this thing is beautiful. And when that's taken away from you, with outside sources, and the artist is not standing up like, yo, nah, look, I love what's going on. This is how we're gonna do it. It's kind of like,
You
man,
start
you
pulling back.
Right, you start pulling back
You
because
have
like
to.
you taking my baby from me. All right, well, go ahead on. It's not my baby no more because now it's something else. It's something else.
Who you are? You acting
Jim, we want to thank you for coming out today. We must do this again. Very informative, and I'm quite sure the audience is going to run this tape over and over again because there's so much information, and we just scratching the surface. Absolutely. So we look forward to the next segment of the Forum Super Producers Edition. Thank you very much.